All right, boys and squad and whoever, we're back on a beautiful Thursday. And yeah, I just wanted to, yesterday I was talking about broken hearts or like betrayal and being a Judas and all these things and how to, like, you know, me being an open hearted person and like wearing my heart on my sleeve, the risk of that is getting stabbed. So, okay, so then I wrote a journal. I just want to read my journal entries for today. How does one protect their heart without tucking it away? Do I present my heart to the world while it being wrapped up in thorns? Do I hold my heart out in my hand while it's being caged behind bars? Is my greatest strength my sword or my shield? Do I even bear a sword, or am I always just on the defensive, shielding myself? I I hate violence, and I wish to not hurt others. I am not my father or my father's father. I am the softest man in my lineage, but I don't think that makes me the weakest. Is it weak to confront trauma? Is it weak to want peace when my ancestral DNA is screaming for rage and violence? Is it weak to be the first man that doesn't want to continue the cycle of hatred? I feel the pain of my ancestors so badly, but I refuse to curse the world and allow my children to feel the pain. This stops with me, and that is why I am the strongest. The desire to create rather than destroy. The desire to heal, then break. That is why I sit here and put this pen to the paper. Every stroke is the accumulation of generations of pain. Every word is the release of the past. I carry the burden of my lineage so that my children won't have to. For years, the weight of this responsibility crushed me. For years, I laid under the rubble and refused to believe I could stand. My spirit is strong now. I've grown. I've I had been hearing the whispers of God from the ether. Keep moving forward. Get up. I would never give you something that you couldn't handle. I refused to believe these whispers for so long until one day I looked down and realized that I was standing up. My legs were strong, my back was strong, my spirit was strong. The weight of the burden of the weight of this burden is no longer heavy, and so now I will walk. Thank you, God, for giving me the opportunity to heal myself and my family. I love you, and I bear no sword or shield, only my hands in prayer. And so I think essentially what I was trying to say is like the only thing I can rely on is faith, and in prayer is like I don't want a sword or shield. Essentially, like if you guys watch a Vinland Saga, is the Thorfinn, you have no enemies. There are no enemies. And so I guess I would have to bear a sword to protect my family, but in truth I wish to bear neither. I wish to be like the guy on Hacksaw Ridge, um, Private Private Doss, where he just like he wanted to join the military and to fight without having to bear a weapon because he was a Christian. And what he did, he saved hundreds of lives. He was a medic. And so I think that's what I was trying to say. And it's like, if I bear a sword, I'm no better than my forefathers. You know what I mean? I'm no better than the rest of my ancestors, because that's what I want more than anything. To take this pain and curse the world, and take this pain and be bitter, and it takes far more strength to take that pain and work through it and heal it, and so that my children don't have to deal with it. So that this whole all this anger on my dad's side of the family, all of that, the Italian anger, it's like it ends with me. I don't want I want my children to grow up with a father, especially my son, to grow up with a father that's like emotionally available, and a father that's like, you know, not going to lash out at them, and a father that's going to listen to them and be vulnerable and be emotionally available, right? And so, but I've known this responsibility for so long, right? But it used to crush me. It was like I can't handle this. Like, I know that I'm the one that's going to end the cycle of trauma in my generations. Like I'm going to be the last generation that has to deal with this. But that's a ton of responsibility, and it's like a ton of hard work that you have to kind of dive into, and you have to be so honest with yourself, and you have to, like, you know to be the bigger person in every step of the way, even when it comes like you versus your ego. It's like you have to be the bigger person in terms of that, and you have to understand how to separate yourself from your ego and your flesh. And I don't know. There's, it's interesting too. I sent a voice memo to my therapist like last week, and she always, when I send her emails or like whatever outside of therapy hours, She always responds with, "Oh, this is something that we could talk about in the session." Like she sticks to the oath that she took when she became a counselor, which is like the code of ethics, right? She sticks to that oath and that code. And so like I said, I was like, man, why? I literally emailed her back after she was like, I sent her like a 5 minute voice memo and I emailed her, and she said something like professional shit, and I said, why do you always have to be so professional? And she's like, I don't mean to invalidate or minimize you, but it seems like something we could talk about in therapy or in our next session. And all I said was, all right, GG's, you win. I understand, right? And then we actually verbally talked about it today, and I was just kind of like, I was like, dude, I would be your friend. Like, I feel like as after you build so much rapport with your therapist, the power dynamic is no longer there. Like, yes, obviously you're going to this person, you're paying this person, and you're going to this person for a specific reason. But when you have enough rapport where it's like this person becomes a friend, and like that's the point. Is like you want to build rapport with your client to the point where they feel comfortable enough to just like bullshit with you. You know what I mean? Um, and so like I told her that we could be friends. But the thing about the code of conduct for like therapy is like you can't be friends with a client until 5 years since they like after termination. And I was like, damn, bro, I'll be like 30 something before I'm friends with you. You know what I mean? So yeah. Also, like, bro, I was trading yesterday. I'm using Trade-Evate. I was paper trading. I was doing market replay. Like I was trading on like August 16th, 2022. And bro, I had the right idea, and then I entered the trade at the one of the worst times possible. Like I had just a bad entry, and I just like got stopped out, and then I like broke a lot of rules that I set for myself. So like that's like it's true. Like the psychology is crazy because I'm like, oh, the psychology is so easy, but then when you actually like sitting there trading and you take a loss, or like you try to move your stop loss up even higher, like you just you're about to get stopped out, so you move it up higher and higher and higher. Then that's in real life, that's how you lose a shit ton of money, right? You just have to take your losses and learn from them. But I was like breaking every single rule, and I was like, it was bad. It was bad. Um, so I went back. I'm studying. I'm going to study again right now, and make sure I don't do that again, and write down the rules for myself. But other than that, yeah, me and my therapist had a beautiful time. Something interesting she said to me was, actually, I can't really talk about that. Anyways, yeah, I think I'm out of here. How much time? All right, this is a shorter one. I love you guys. Guys, girls, gays, queer, they, them. These are any all. Everyone, anyone, have a blessed rest of your Thursday. I'll catch you guys tomorrow on a beautiful Friday. Yep. You belong to